Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this fourth day of October. Got a great show with you for tonight. Got the Mad New Yorker backstage. I'm very curious of what his breakdown is of this Karl Anthony Towns trade. We talked about all week. Everybody seems to like it, but you never know what Mad New Yorker is going to say. And get his breakdown of the Mets. I mean, the Mets, they've got a playoff series win. And again, it's one of the better comebacks probably in Met history as far as getting off to a bad start on that. I'm going to get him to break that down and see what his thoughts is. He's Mad New Yorker's a season ticket holder. Plus, we'll recap last week's games and, of course, talk about this week's upcoming NFL games and one really good on paper anyways, college football game. Stand by. We'll take our first and only breaks here. We'll be back here shortly. We'll hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming. To get the National Streaming Sports channel on your Roku TV, channel search National Streaming Sports. There's the channel search in Roku. There's our logo right on the right, NESSP. Tap on the logo and it will add to your TV, the channel to your TV. On your laptop, tablet, and mobile phone, download the free Roku app and channel search just like above. If you don't have Roku TV, you have to order a Roku device from the Roku store, hook it up to your smart TV, and bang, you have Roku TV. Again, channel search, National Streaming Sports. Click on our NESSP logo and add the channel. National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures, college football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds, NBA odds of division winners and playoffs, Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds, the National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds, and boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners, also during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
All righty, then. I've got the Mad New Yorker. Hey, man, how you doing tonight?
Hey, how's it going? Happy Friday, everybody.
Friday at last. Like Martin Luther King would say. Okay, man, I got to get your take here. I was looking through the Mets' whole season this past year, and you may know this a little better than me, but it looks like at one point they were 9 games below 500 in May. And, at that point, it's just like, okay, maybe this team is still – I know they got rid of – who was it? Verlander, booed off him. seemed like they were going in rebuilding mode, and then they kind of got hot in June, and it never really wore off. I mean, they, like you said the other day, they won that last series against Philadelphia, and the Philadelphia has been great all year. What's your take on this comeback, man? This is a pretty impressive comeback from the Mets in the history of the organization, in my opinion.
Oh man, it's everybody here in New York is crazy. The Yankees are in, of course, and then they've been waiting, and now the Mets, nail-biting games, his last few games, trying to get into the playoffs as a wild card. And we talk about it all the time. I mention it. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And
yeah,
they weren't even after the offseason. People were saying that the Mets were rebuilding. And what they did do is they kept the core of their players. They had McNeil, Alonso, a few other guys in there that been around. They kept Marte. And so, they had a little bit of chemistry already. The pitching, also, they added some pitchers and a few guys in there. And all the pieces that were added in the off season and now during the in the trades, they all kind of complement each other. And the one thing that they have that other teams haven't had, because they've been the best MLB team since the end of June, beginning of July. And then the Tigers
they've been hotter than Detroit.
Yeah, and the Tigers are second. The Tigers had Yeah. So the Tigers are second.
Keith Ingles saying the Tigers have been red hot too.
Yeah. They've been red hot. But they started later than the Mets.
Yes.
After the trade deadline. So, but those have been the two best teams in baseball. And what they've been doing is been consistent, right? And it's hard to do that in baseball, right? It's just keep being consistent. So, and the consistency that the Mets, what they've been doing is they've been getting clutch wins.
Yeah.
Right. They haven't been always pulverizing teams, but they've just been proactive. They've been just going at it and grinding.
I like the 86 Mets a little bit. Those nail biters.
A little
watching that documentary on them.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a there might be a little few things in there. They're not as edgy, I guess because of the drugs in the 80s, but they're not as edgy, but they have a little bit of that
they didn't quite have that Keith Fernandez and
they don't
that personality of Lenny Dykstra and those guys.
Yeah, but they have some guys in there that are old wily veterans. When they picked up JD Martinez, when they picked up Iglesias, they did was they picked
up Tiger. Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah, they picked up guys that have been on winning teams, and maybe not made it in the postseason, but even JD was coming from the Dodgers, so he's been in the playoffs. So they picked up guys that know how to win, and that kind of solidifies the team a little bit, makes it come all around, and then you have your younger guys.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that the Mets have a lot of guys on the team that are young as well. So everything is a balance. They have a good team. They're fun to watch because of the fact that they're scrappy and they just won't go away. I've had the opportunity to sit through a lot of the games, and I've seen some. Are you
going to any of the games against the Phillies? Yeah,
they got stomped. Remember that Friday night?
No, are you going to the playoffs?
Oh, am I going to playoffs? I might catch one game at Citi Field, but I am going to be going to Citi Field for the watch party, at least one of them, either on Saturday or Sunday. So, listen, I mean, it's exciting. I don't like.
Oh, you're gonna watch it at the stadium on the jumbotron?
Yeah. It's a good little atmosphere. There are a lot of fans there.
You'll take your son with you?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the family. They like to go out.
They like to watch parties. Okay, nice.
Yeah. They like to do those things there at the ballpark, and every opportunity we got to go there as season ticket holders, we try to take advantage of. They have a movie night. They have all kinds of different things over there. But anyways, anytime you have an opportunity to watch a team like this, you have to kind of take advantage of it, because not every year is different, man. So and breaking news. I don't know if it's breaking, but
Yeah.
they're gonna have the Senga come and pitch the first game.
Who?
Senga, the Japanese forkball thrower. So he's gonna be pitching the first game. He was injured most of the season, but they're gonna have him come back and pitch this first game. So it's gonna be interesting for sure.
Who do you see winning this series between the Phillies?
I still think, and I mentioned this in the beginning of the season, I think the Mets could make it all the way out to the last game for the NL. No, not the World Series, but at least the NL Championship.
Do you think they can beat Philadelphia?
Well, yeah, they beat them before. So
they're 6-7 for the season. So they won that last series. They're playing better now. Are the Phillies going to go through what the Braves have went through over the years, where they had the top seed, they won the division, and then they catch a red hot wild card team, kind of catch them.
Well, they were
their back heels and win the series.
Right, and again, Philadelphia in the last few years.
Philly did Atlanta last year.
Yeah, they did that to Atlanta. So, I like that they're going to be playing each other. I like the history there. I don't think either team has the upper hand right now, to be honest with you. It's just, I think it's going to be a real good matchup. I think the matchup really good, and it's going to be fun to watch. And, it's kind of wild that they made I said at the beginning of the season, even on the show, even on what the Forkball, I said that they were going to come in and get the wild card and make it to at least, I think they were going to make it to at least the NL divisional, playoff. So maybe
they made that then. Yeah.
I don't want to be a fanboy and be like, yeah, they're gonna beat everybody. Baseball's not like that, man. Baseball's got a lot of ups and downs. So
yeah, it's always what pitchers are pitching well. Your middle relief is a big deal, and hitters not getting too anxious for the moment. You got to sit through some pitches and let that guy pitch himself out and try to get everything he's got. And then, get your pitch and make that hit. Kind of reminded me of the College World Series. UT was very patient in that series, and I thought they were going to lose it many times.
But they just kept sticking around. You just keep sticking around, and you're going to hang
around. Yeah. So, it's just watching. I like watching the playoffs.
Yeah, the most important thing, like, play that defense. Keep the runners honest if they get on base, and then on top of that, you got to hit. When you get the opportunity, you got to make hits, and you don't have to be home runs. You just got to get on base and make something happen. Even that catcher, like even the Mets at catcher, they got a first round draft pick in Torrens, who's one of the backup catchers, and then have Alvarez, who's rated one of the highest prospects for the last 3 years in the minor leagues. So, like, when you got young arms like that, you're not going to run on them because they're gonna throw that ball. Now you might want to get on them because they're inexperienced at the major level, but guys like Torrens and Alvarez, they've been pretty good at trying to catch runners. So the defense, the Mets have a pretty decent defense, and I think that goes underrated sometimes on when they talk about because they struggle hitting. The major part about their team since 2001 is that they've been struggling to find out big time hitter, So
we're finding him in his prime, So
yeah, it's exciting.
Got to get your take on a week ago. You sent that to me overnight last Friday. Randall goes to Minnesota now. Karl Anthony Towns back with the Knicks. You got DiFrancesco. I sent you that text where it looks like DiFrancesco wanted to get out of the Knicks. He wasn't a big fan. What's your take on that trade, man?
I feel like it's more of a money trade than anything else. Like, Minnesota didn't have to go out and pay Towns all that money, the guarantee money, and put him on a contract that maybe he couldn't fulfill. The Knicks got rid of a contract, and Randall, they didn't have to pay him what they didn't want to pay him. Both guys, I'm not saying it's an equal trade, because Karl Anthony Towns is a little bit better in defense and rebounding, more consistent as a shooter.
He's big they needed.
You know, they have a center now that can, that can start. But I don't, I've always been on the feeling with this team that they should always go younger, and they went with somebody like Towns, and it is what it is. They have him as a 5. He's going to fulfill a need, but he couldn't bring Minnesota to a championship team, right?
Yeah.
The championship. So they made a playoff run, but it's not a championship. And that team, even his backup had better games than he did in that playoff series.
Who was his backup?
Nazir.
Okay.
Yeah, he was, and even next year, and Minnesota's thinking of actually he's gonna get an opportunity to get paid, maybe, whether he wants whether he's gonna take an extension or wants to re-up. But like those kind of things kind of sticking in the back of my mind, like, okay, he's not a put the team on my shoulder kind of guy. He'll shoot and be clutch, but he's not going to carry a team like a Patrick Ewing per se or a Olajuwon. He's not that type of 5 guy. So I don't know what the Knicks plan to do and how much more. I think they need about 3 more players just to have that edge and build depth. But
that's what I've been talking about all week is they're going to have to use their, Thibodeau's got to use that bench more. I think starter wise, you could go even with Boston. I think you could play with Boston with those starters.
I mean, and another thing is Boston
they got to be healthy come playoff time.
Right, and Boston, that team is complete because that team, they take a while to get into the game. Like they don't, Tibbs, the way his style is they go from end to end. By the middle of the second quarter, by the time you get near halftime, some of the guys are already spent. And he pushes them harder, and they play deep the way they play defense. So Boston doesn't play like that. Boston's different. Boston, they throw the ball up a lot too. They shoot a lot of threes, and then you got to catch up to them. And you have to force yourself to play their game. And it's not really a speed game, but it's not an easy game if you don't have shooters to catch up. So, I mean, if they were to play Boston, Boston might, if they put like a 6-game series, Boston would probably beat them 4-2. Like the team that we have now.
Games though,
What?
I think they'd be tight games.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they will whip them, but I'm saying that they would not.
Yeah, and you got to throw in the fact they brought in Bridges too. I mean, so this is going to be a much better team coming in.
I mean, like. How much was an effect Bridges on the last team that would help the Knicks if you were to translate what he did on this prior team to the Knicks? It's like they're not. He fills the hole that Randall left, right? Yeah. Because Randall wasn't around. So and then you still have OC, and he's coming off an injury. You don't know what you're gonna get from him. You don't know if you're gonna get stability. You know what he is, you know what kind of player he is, but the way he is he going to stay healthy?
Yeah.
It's all about health for the Knicks now because they got players that are dependent on that. Are they healthy? Then they'll do okay.
Would you move off Thibs if the whole team is banged up come playoff time?
Yeah, I mean, once, we tend to forget when he coached Chicago and he coached Minnesota in the past, once those guys were hurt, Rose and what's this guy who
just retired,
what's this guy that plays for Miami? What's his name?
Jimmy Butler.
When Butler was hurt, when these guys got hurt, those teams were just not as good, and he couldn't keep those guys running. Yeah. I mean, even Joe Quinn Noah was when he went from being a decent player to not, just not a consistent at all, right? So because he was unhealthy as well. He played hurt a lot, so. You can't play. I don't understand Tibbs. He doesn't. That's why I feel like he should just be a college coach. I always say that. I keep saying it.
Yeah. And, who would you go after if they didn't move off of him?
And I heard you talking about Mr. Jay Wright, and I don't think Jay Wright.
John likes Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson, yeah.
Former Nick.
I feel like Mark Jackson never got a fair shot.
He would have a good hand to deal with if he had this group, wouldn't he?
Yeah, because I think he knows Brunson, because of the whole connection with the Knicks. Like
played with his dad or something.
Yeah, well, he's had some he's worked with his dad a little bit. I don't think Mark Jackson's going to get another chance, but it'd be nice to see him as a coach.
I like Jay Wright, man. I think Jay Wright can coach.
I don't think Jay Wright wants to coach a bunch of people who are ready to just cash out and be like, "Yo, you can't tell me what to do. I'm contracted, right?" Like,
but their leader has a lot of respect. He played for him. They won the championship.
Yeah, but that's different. That's different. What happened when you were 22 and he's a father-like figure is different than when you're 28 and he's coming back to coach.
But he's never been that. He's never been that Bob Knight type,
Nah, I know.
I always thought he treated the guys like pros. He reminded me of Pat Riley.
When you're in college and when you're in NBA, it's just so different. Everything's different. Like, even the way women treat you is different, right? So you know how it is. Being in college, it feels like it's almost easier to be around women than it is when you're in the real world because they got edgy and they make money. It's different, So you got to come at a woman differently when you're older. So everything's different after you're 25. And I just think Jay Wright, even if he knows these guys, he doesn't know them at 25 plus, right? So I don't. And I don't think
like you're not high on this trade at all. You don't think nothing's going to happen.
I think both Minnesota and New York got a C as far as player and talent and amount of money you have to pay. And it's just a one for one. It's a one-off, right? So
Brian Windhorst thinks that he says some of the executives said that Minnesota got the better end of the trade.
Yeah, because they don't have to pay Towns.
And they got DiVincenzo. I just nah. I think Anthony Edwards is probably going to want to get out of Minnesota. He's going to be like KG, Kevin Garnett, not KD, eventually. Hope I'm wrong. Like Minnesota, nice people, Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, because the thing in Minnesota is even if Towns was going to leave no matter what. So the thing is, what are you getting back? And they got DiVincenzo, but they should also get another 3 or 4 players themselves to just fill up that depth, because they have a decent.
They got the first round pick. I mean, we'll see
how
it works out.
They have a decent squad. It's not bad.
Yeah, everything is how that it all goes back to Thibs. If he managed this group right, I think they'd go right up to the Eastern Conference Finals and.
Ooh, that's high. I don't know if they can beat the Celtics.
I think they can hang with the Celtics. I don't know if they could beat them, but you never know. The Celtics are not indefensible.
Right.
I mean, Porzingis is always going to be hurt, and they got their issues too. So
a former Knick, by the way.
Yeah, former Knick. Yeah, drafted by the. That was one of Phil Jackson's last guys there before he decided to get out of there. Okay, let's go back to last week if I can find these scores here. Find my text that I sent you last week. Okay. Let's see. We'll start here. Minnesota, Green Bay. I tell you what, I thought Green Bay was going to come back on them. The Vikings, that was played in Green Bay. Minnesota, get off to a great lead. Green Bay comes, that offense, man, they are deadly, that Green Bay team. And I know it's Jordan Love's first game back, but, man, they are a scary team. They're like that team that can get, hot in the wild card and make a Super Bowl run,
Like last year?
Minnesota hangs on and wins. What you think about that game?
I think that that defense is a little bit better than people think it is.
Yeah.
It held out its own. It did what it had to do to win the game. I think Addison coming back is helpful.
Yeah.
You could tell that it helped a little bit, open up the game a little bit, and people gonna have to worry more about the Vikings than they do about Green Bay. How about that?
Yeah, that's true. That's true because Sam Darnold's play there, Philadelphia, Tampa.
One thing about Darnold,
Tampa. Huh?
One thing about Darnold, he was asked if the Jets coaching staff let him down, and he did the Jets a big favor, and he said it did not. He
was really young. I think
he was really young. He went. He had to learn. He had to learn some things, and I respect that from him. But my man, it's okay to be honest sometimes. And, in New York,
he's over his head. We'll talk about that later because they play in the UK on Sunday at 9 o'clock Eastern.
But I just wanted to say that. I wanted to say that real quick about him. That was really big of him to say, and you could tell that he's over.
Took the higher ground.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. He could have said they're a bunch of POSs, but he didn't, though. He didn't.
He did not know.
Philadelphia, I'm starting to think that Sirianni, he's one of those guys. They're going to can him. I could see it. I know Lane Johnson was out. No A.J. Brown. That's why we picked it. They were ate up with injuries. No Devontae Smith. But remember, they got Johan Dotson from the Commanders there, And I don't know. I mean, your right tackle's out, but they still look sloppy as all get out. They looked as bad as they did in the playoff game last year against Tampa, So good. It was a good win for Tampa. I know they lost last night, but it's short week on the road. But good win over Philadelphia. I'm more concerned about Philly. That it seems like they got the same problems, man, as they did last year.
I think their problem is attitude.
Attitude, yeah.
I think it's more about attitude and I don't know what it is about their coaching staff, and they keep getting coaches like this because they have Peterson. He's the same way. Yeah. Players are just gonna have to get their contract and just be happy and then play on the field. I don't know why that's such an issue right now for the Eagles. Eagles coming in, going to a Super Bowl, coming back, expecting to go back to the Super Bowl, and just can't get their head on straight and can't focus. And it's
not over, but man, I tell you,
I don't feel like it's a freaking coaching thing. I think it's just an attitude thing with players saying, well, it don't matter what I do because I got paid already. You could change that attitude and say you want to actually win football.
Some are starting to point the finger at Hurts that maybe it's on him. That he really only did well under Shane Steichen, that the offensive coordinator, who's now the coach with the.
But Robert, are you turning on an Eagles game and are you excited to watch their defense? Are you excited to watch their offense? Are you excited at all about watching a football game from Philadelphia?
They look sloppy, man.
But
not as much as I used to be.
Right, exactly. Like because of freaking blackouts here in the East Coast.
Well, I watch Red Zone. They go to every single game.
Yeah, but to watch a full game and
that's tough.
NFL, and the Eagles come on, you're like, all right, they were known as a very competitive team. They were known as a hard team. The defense and the offense was going to get at you, and you're not getting any of that for the last 2 seasons. So that has nothing to do with the coach, man. The coach can be there all day and try to say.
Well, he's the personality, though. I mean, the coach can. Your job as a coach is try to get a temperature of the team, which way they're going. Try to get a feel for what buttons you need to push, what buttons you not need to push, who to drill into, who not to. That's the job of the coach, and the head coach is supposed to coach those coaches too. And sometimes the head coach needs to be a walk-around coach like a Jimmy Johnson if something's lacking.
So Robert, they ain't lacking nobody. They got the best. They got one of the top 5 running back. They got top 10 wide receivers. They got top 10.
Well, what you just making my point? It's coaching. It's coaching,
not coaching. These guys need to change the attitude, man. They got to go. They got to go out there and try.
And that is a good point. There's a lot of guys who've been paid. You got Devontae Adams got a second contract. You got a third contract out of A.J. Brown, who's still hurt, Chad. Yes, that's true. And you got a second contract out of your quarterback, okay? And you got a lot of rookies on your defense and second-year players. Maybe they're lost out there. Vic Fangio, you got a high-dollar defensive coordinator.
Right, but I don't think –
They do have age on that offensive line. I remember Jamie saying that about a year ago. He said, that's my only concern because they are aging. Lane Johnson's up there.
Right. Okay, so
yeah.
But again, if you take things into perspective, you and I, we're not gonna skim through the schedule and look for an Eagles game to watch this weekend.
I think they're off this week.
Yeah, they are. They got a bye.
They need to buy. I'll tell you, teams that needed that buy is Tennessee, the Chargers definitely.
Mhm.
And the Eagles, even though teams don't really like to have that early bye week, but when you got that many injuries,
You know
it's
what?
good.
Speaking of the Chargers, more people are likely to look to find a Chargers game than an Eagles. The only people looking for Eagles games is Eagles fans, not football fans, because you're going to see
They are not as fun to watch without an A.J. Brown because
They're
he
not
gets
competitive.
the deep ball, you know.
Yeah, it's not just a deep ball, man. They're just not playing with competitive edge at all. I'm sorry.
They do look they looked sloppy last year in that Tampa game, in that playoff game. And it was almost like a replica of that same game, even though you got different coaches there. Got a new coordinator there in Tampa, you know. So I don't know. Does Washington win the division? I don't know. They look good. They're leading right now.
They're leading. They're fun to watch.
Oh, they're real fun to watch.
Jay Daniels, don't give him any room. Don't give him any space. You got to knock him down.
Chad said felt sorry for the Philly guy. I think I posted that.
No,
I need to bring Jamie back on
let
next
Jamie
week.
be. He's
Not
right
the
now,
ending I wanted. Not the end.
He's probably more focused right now with the Phillies than he is with the with
Sad clown.
Yeah, but Commanders they're on the up. I mentioned to them. I mentioned to you, and I thought they were going to do this last year, but they're doing it this year, and that they're going to be a scary team. And if you're in the East,
Yeah.
the NFC East, you're going to have to hold your hat because these guys are ready to go, man.
Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm not ready to go against any preseason predictions because, listen, like Bill Belichick said, first 4 games, that's the first quarter. Second 4 games, third 4, you got to divvy it out. What if the Eagles get healthy and turn it around and then say Jalen Daniels is hurt and the Cowboys are banged up? Look at your Giants. The whole thing could turn around. We just talked about the Mets for 15 minutes. In May, they look like a train wreck again, man.
Yeah, I couldn't even give away tickets. And I have decent tickets. Nobody wanted them.
I think there were 9 games below 500. I was going through it. It may have been worse than that.
They have lost their first 8 games.
Yeah, they were just dreadful to start the season. So you just never know, man.
No, you're right. You're right. But I hope you're right about the NFC East because all these teams are looking ratchet, bro. All of them, except for the Commanders.
Yeah, who's playing well in December? Are you mathematically in it, and are you playing good?
Look at you playing the long game. Look at you.
Well,
I'm about
whatever.
What you done for me lately? That's what I'm about.
Any thoughts about the Chiefs? Yeah, they beat the Chargers. They didn't destroy them. Harbaugh had them ready, considering he had 2 backup tackles and no Joey Bosa, no Derwin James, high ankle sprain on Herbert. But Kansas City figures it out, but they lose Rashid Rice with a torn ACL. How significant? That he's got an ACL injury. It's not confirmed torn all week. They're talking about trading for somebody. What's your thoughts about them? Are they going to be able to hang on?
I think their defense is tough. I think their defense is
Chargers
totally
or the Chiefs?
Yes, and I think that the Chiefs will stay in games as long as they're playing how they're playing on defense. Their offense needs a little bit of help. Mahomes right now is rated probably in the low teens for QB rating.
Yeah,
but he tends to pick it up during the later part of the season. Kelsey hasn't been that blanket that
it looks like a guy that's about washed up.
Yeah, you've been saying stuff about Travis Kelsey for the last 3 seasons.
I've been calling them strikes on him.
You've
now,
been like,
if he starts getting 9-10 catches a game, and he starts having 3 touchdowns, I'm gonna say, well, we need to get a urine test.
You need to retire. You need to move on. No, I mean, and so Kelsey's showing his age. I think the best move Devontae Adams can do is go to the Chiefs.
Well, that's an individual. They're not. They might trade him to your Jets, or they may trade him to the Steelers. but that's an in division game. They won't do that now.
Yeah.
If the Chiefs
Listen.
offer me a whole lot, I'd do it. I'd say go ahead and take it. We're not doing that this year.
My thing is that you're as a player, you want to go somewhere to win. You're talking about two
he'd
teams.
love to go with the Chiefs, wouldn't he?
Yeah, you're talking about two teams in the Jets and Pittsburgh that, well, Pittsburgh kind of has a, there's kind of a medium to up peaking, but the Jets, man.
The Steelers don't need to do that. They don't want to mess with their chemistry with Pickens and Freiermuth. I wouldn't do that if I were the Steelers. What else? What else was last week? I think Bills. Ravens ran on the Bills. That's the one game you won. You cut my lead down to 2. You make sure and text me about it.
Yeah, I did. No, it wasn't to.
Yeah, it comes off as trash talking.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to trash. I was just trying to let you know that the Bills ain't the Bills that you think they are. I always tell you this. You know what I'm saying? They are who they say they are.
All right, Dennis Green.
You are what you.
Well, as far as that game, I just think that the Ravens, they have an identity. They're a running 75 to 80% run team. I don't know how long that at 30 years old that Derrick Henry can run like that, but that's what they are, and they're still good at stopping the run. You know, that Raiders game, they held the Raiders 27 yards rushing. It was more of a fluke than anything that Gardner Minshew and Devontae Adams, of all people. Boy, things changed quickly, right? 10 catches, 100-something yards. They beat the freaking Ravens. The Bills, their injuries are starting to add up on the defensive side.
Defenses. Yeah.
That was what that was my analysis of that particular game, and I did.
And they don't have that star power in as a receiver. They don't have
who
the Bills. They don't. They're talking about maybe being on the Devontae Adams radar, but
I never thought about that. Yeah,
but like if you're gonna have Allen be your star guy, you can't keep him in the pocket because he's not that kind of player anyways. You gotta let him run a little bit. But if you're gonna let him run, you gotta be careful, right? So I think the Bills are stuck because they have a guy who's a multifunctional guy, but they want to keep him in the pocket. And if you keep him in the pocket, yes, he is a great thrower. He is a good quarterback. He sees the field. But that's not his game. And when you start taking and peeling away at these guys like onions, you're gonna start crying inside and wishing that you would just let them be what they really are, right?
Well, I just think that was just the defensive collapse. And
nah, man, that offense.
I think he played okay.
You got to be a little bit fluid.
Still got a good defense, man.
Yeah, they do. And I like to give props to Hamilton, the young kid.
Kyle Hamilton's money as a safety.
Yeah, he makes a few mistakes in the beginning of the game, but I like that he comes back and he makes up for it. He lets all that bad stuff slide. He don't retain any of that, and that's a good football mind to have when you play that position because safety is not easy. It's not easy. So especially when you're playing against Allen at QB. So yeah. Detroit, we both called that game.
Detroit played good though. They played good, 18 for 18. That's about the passing attempts, maybe a few more. That's perfect stuff for Jared Allen. Jared Goff had perfect rating. I mean, he didn't have an incompletion all night. That's the Detroit team that I like to see. Still go up a few plays on defense, but still they get it done. Cover that spread, 2-score win there at home against Seattle that beat them last year. What you think about that game Monday night?
I thought that Detroit played very well. They've been playing pretty good, and I think when they get into the divisional rounds, they're gonna see that how they play and what they play is gonna be not gonna matter.
Oh, I can't wait to see them play Minnesota.
Yeah, you can't be like I'm good with 18 for 18. Like that stuff's not gonna fly. You might not even get the 18 for 18. So when they play against Minnesota and Green Bay, it's not gonna be like playing against Seattle. So
no, those are good teams, but they do know each other. Quick any take on Louisville. That was a big win for Notre Dame. I called that. Yeah. You like Louisville?
I don't like Notre Dame.
Coach, he just don't have the players around him.
You making it sound like I like Louisville. No, it wasn't that I like.
You liked them in that game.
Yeah, I liked them in that. I felt like even since last year, some of these guys that have stayed on to the team, I thought they were going to be able to, put a little pep in the step, but they didn't. They didn't. It's hard on college football because the way the schedule is, and these kids, they got school and stuff. So I was hoping to see a better game from Louisville. But Notre Dame showed that they have the depth that you need.
Definitely a depth edge for Notre Dame.
So you could tell that, man. Like when the second half came in, and Louisville, this kids was like huffing and puffing, and then Notre Dame was just throwing in more and more 4, 5-star
Still
players.
throwing haymakers.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, this game is not going nowhere. So.
All right, big college game of the week. You picked Georgia. I picked Alabama.
Oof.
They came back for a second, dude.
Oof.
What was your thoughts when there was a 1-point game and Georgia came all the way back from 28 down?
I was more surprised that Alabama was winning, and then they let Georgia catch back.
Okay.
I was more surprised about that. You want to be steady Eddie, and Georgia was all over the place. They were all over the place. I didn't like how Georgia played that game, and it goes to show you that Alabama is doing okay. They have depth. They got good team still, and
the board's pushing the right buttons, ain't he?
Yeah, and then they need to keep doing what they're doing to just stay up there and be relevant. It's hard to replace Saban. It's hard to be in the shadows. So like nobody was talking about Saban that game. And
that's true. I will say this: they got a little hurry happy with speeding those plays up late as the game's going along. I'm thinking, okay, Alabama at one point, and even I think Kirk Herbstreit was like, man, won't you let this clock run down a little bit? I mean, when you got that 3-score lead in the second half, you don't want to get too complacent. But on the other hand, you don't want to give them any time. I mean, at least run it down to 5. But I guess they're just he didn't want the team to lose too much rhythm. What do you think about that? It's like they helped Georgia get back into it.
Right. He played into Kirby Smart's game, and Kirby Smart acknowledged that Alabama was not holding on the ball and working the clock and looking for possession at all. So that gave Kirby Smart the opportunity to give Georgia all the motivation to keep going on and being able to catch up almost, and get to that point. And that's coaching by Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
That's bad coaching on
that's my only complaint in the
on
board.
Alabama side, but
speeding it up too much when you didn't need to.
Right. He got it. He got his win though, right? Alabama
got the win. Nice is asking about Nick News. We talked about Nick's at the very about 17 minutes into the program. We talked about 15 minutes about the Mets, but we did get the Knicks. You have to go back and watch it. So that was last week. We've got everything covered. And this week, okay, let's start Jets in Minnesota. What do you think? And since that's the first game,
Right. At like 8 in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, that's so annoying. Yeah. What Minnesota's 2.5-point favorites. I thought that would be a little bit more.
You're going to give them the 2? I think it'd be more than that.
Yeah, I thought it would be like 6,
Yeah.
Right at a touchdown, 6.5.
Yeah. I'm thinking 27-14.
Do you think in Minnesota?
No. Yeah, Minnesota beating the Jets 27-14.
Oh, okay. So is there any motivation from last week with Minnesota? I mean, with the Jets. I mean, they lose to a team like Denver that they've been destroying for 2 straight years, and then they lose to them at home. They should have dominated that game,
The coaching staff doesn't run the ball the way they should. They're not using the receiving core like they should, or even the tight end. You got one of the best young wide receivers in Garrett Wilson, but he can't get on the same page as Rodgers. Rodgers is throwing to Lazard. Lazard's leading the team in yards. Lazard's not going to catch anything over 20 yards. So that's just a freaking.
They could not get Breece Hall going either.
Yeah, that's that's the first thing I said. They have no the running game. It's like they're not getting it going. So I don't know what it is that you expect to do if you don't use the tools that you have. This is what happens. Like, this is what I'm saying. You're expecting a 40-year-old plus person to micromanage the team, and he can't run. So that takes that out of the equation too. He can't run for 10 yards. So he's not going to help you even in that retrospect to give you a little bit of space. So
and I think Silas takes a lot of heat with those. Did you hear about that penalties? They had 5 false start penalties, and Silas blames Rodgers' cadence on that with that 319.
What Silas needs to do. Silas got more problems than Aaron Rodgers right now, so he needs to just stay. Don't say nothing. Just don't say nothing. It's New York media. Don't say anything, right? You got a person that your GM affecting your defense. So just shut your face until you get everything straight out, and then don't say anything you don't need that doesn't need to be said. That's simple.
Yeah, my take on this game, only way the Jets win if Minnesota players just can't handle this trip. Minnesota had to fly to Green Bay, back to Minnesota, then they had to go to the UK. The Jets just have to go to the UK. That being said, I think Minnesota's probably going to win this game 27-17. Minnesota wins, covers. They get their 5th win. I think the Jets will play it close early, because a lot of people's been calling them out this week. They usually bounce back, but I don't know, man. Minnesota's pretty healthy, and they've been playing great football. I just anything can happen. Turnovers, whatever. Guys get sick on the plane. Anything can happen, but I don't see it. I think Minnesota keeps it going. You said 27 what? 13?
27-14.
I say 23-17. So we both got them covering. Moving right along, because I don't want to get too far behind. Baltimore, Cincinnati. This is a weird spread, too. Baltimore's only 2.5-point favorites. Joe Burrow, I had to check this out and double check and make sure. He hasn't beat Lamar Jackson since 2021. That's the year that they went to the Super Bowl.
8-1.
I don't know what their record is because Cincinnati has beaten Baltimore, but without Lamar, because Lamar's been hurt over the years. So, I just think that I don't think the Baltimore may be down a little bit, but I don't think they're going to be totally flat. They still got a lot to prove. They're only 2-2. They're not 4-0. So I still think that they're going to come out ready to play, even though they maybe, if you look at the way the two teams have played the last 2 games, you'd probably say Baltimore should be a 6 or 7 point favorite. But either way, I still think Baltimore hang on, win 24-17, get the win, and they're watching Pittsburgh to see what they're going to do against Dallas. What do you think about Baltimore, Cincinnati, man?
32-21, Baltimore over the Pistons.
Okay, yeah, you're saying they do cover that 2.5. Yeah, this owner's going to hold back Joe Burrow. I think he's more like a Marino now than a Montana because of his team around him.
You were big on JB. Come on, man.
Well, I am big on JB, but I'm not big on the other JB, the freaking owner there. What's his name? Mike Brown or whatever. That owner. That old man, he sucks, man. He's terrible. Okay. This is probably the game. Well, let's do Dallas, Pittsburgh. I had Ralph Williams on Dallas, by the way. Man, you know that Parsons out. Jamarcus Lawrence is out.
Lawrence is out.
Brandon Cooks is out. Now, Mike Tomlin, dude, you cannot play down to your comp. They've got to win and win comfortable. They come off of a loss. They should not have lost to the Colts there. I think that sometimes Tomlin his teams have a way of playing down to the competition. This is a Sunday night football game. I do think that they're going to play well, those Steelers. They're getting a couple of offensive linemen back themselves. Defense playing lights out. 23-13. Steelers win. Covered at 2.5 points. Do you think Dallas upsets them Sunday?
No.
Okay. It's a big name. It's probably not as big game as the names is it?
No, I think Pittsburgh's going to win 21-10, and I think it's probably going to be one of the most boringest Sunday night games you'll watch. And
punt.
Well, maybe they'll just
fumble, punt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just. I do see Dallas try to practice a run game on this, and they're going to try to run.
Yeah, it's hard to run on Pittsburgh, man.
But I don't think it's going to work. But whatever.
Not with 150-year-old Zeke Elliott. Although Zeke did a few years ago had a great game against Pittsburgh, but that was a much better Dallas team 5 years ago. Buffalo. This may be the best game of the week.
Oh, did I give you a score?
Bills Texans.
I gave you a score, right?
Yeah. You said Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, 21-10, yeah.
17, yeah. I said Pittsburgh. They cover 23-13, a 10-point game there. Bills Texans. Now this is a good game, man.
This will be
I've
a
been
good
back
game.
and forth on this game. First, I thought maybe the Bills. Then I started looking at these injuries here. They do not have their defensive tackle, Ed Oliver, which is probably their best run stopper guy on the team. They've also got some other injuries. Like John Restano said, they're going to have one of their best linebackers back, but not their actual best line. One of their best linebackers. Matt Milano's still on IR. I know Houston don't have a running back as well. They're probably going to play with Cam Akers. This game's at Houston. It's a 1.5 spread. It's actually went back to being favored towards Houston. It was favored towards Buffalo. I guess the odds maker looked at those defensive, injuries like me. So I actually think Houston's going to win, man. I know you thought I was going to go the other way.
I thought he was going to go for Buffalo.
Texans. Yeah. I'm not a narrative guy. I'm a balls and strikes. I take that injury. I take that injury report serious. 23-21. It's another close game. Houston wins, though.
Yeah.
They went at home. What do you think about that game? This could be the best game of the week.
I think Stroud was going to have a big effect on this game more than ever. I think he might run more than
he may have to. Yeah,
than he have to. I see this game being 27-24. Texans winning the game.
So you do like Houston? Okay. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. This next one's pretty good here. New Orleans, Kansas City. Yeah, Kansas City. I just mentioned Rashid Rice. By the way, quick question: what do you do when there's no you're playing in NFL, Carlos, your second year, and there's a news story out of your mom on camera taking a package off somebody's doorstep? Did you hear that story about Rashid Rice's mom through TMZ?
Oh, was that?
And then she had a jersey on that said Mama Rice on there, and she's got the jersey on taking this package off somebody else's doorstep. How do you have that conversation with your mom, knowing that she's already got in trouble earlier this year, stealing somebody else's stuff too? So apparently she's got kleptomaniac kind of problems here. How embarrassing is that, man?
Send her down to Dallas and to help that defense. You want to steal some games away for Dallas? Like, you look, not to be funny, like it's
kind of embarrassed for the young man, aren't you?
Yeah, it's embarrassing, but you know what? I like that he has the opportunity that a lot of people don't. Even though this is on TV, he is an NFL player, and they do have a lot of good lawyers, and they have a lot of good teams and PR people to kind of balance that out. So, it's
kind of good he's on IR, so people
just focus on football, focus on getting better, and let the media just kind of fade that story out, because NFL media people and PR people, they'll do their job.
Yeah. Now back to the regular scheduled program. So the Saints here, I was going to pick the Saints, although they do have a high point spread, but their center's out. They have a guard offensive lineman out. This game is at Kansas City. Kansas City has a way of finding nobodies to come up big. I like the way Kareem Hunt played in the second half, back as a second stint with the Chiefs there. Chiefs win a close one. This could be tight like that Atlanta game a few weeks ago. It's a 5.5-point spread. I think that they probably cover the Saints, but I think the Chiefs win 2016. Touchdown late. Chiefs win and go 5-0. What do you think about Saints Chiefs? This is going to be a pretty tight game, man.
Yeah, and it's not a dome. It's out in the outside and
at KC, I think Monday night.
Yeah, and it's a night game too, so it's going to be kind of chilly. October air is going to be out there, and some of those cats are going to be used to it, but a lot of those Louisiana cats are not. So, playing a night game in that little cold October chill, I'm going to give it a KC, and I think you're right. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be like 21-17. It's not going to be, it's not going to be I think this is probably going to be a slow game as well. You're not going to see all that offense that you see in the dome.
Yeah. It'd be a tight game, man.
There might be some wind effect and there might be some weather effect, man, to be honest with you. Kansas City's, it's a middle. It's always in the middle.
Well, they said it's going to be okay. It's still early.
Even if it's okay, it's still colder than what you're used to playing in the dome. Right?
Yeah, you're playing in the dome, and then you're playing in the rough.
Plus, you'll see that throw. I'll go, and then all of a sudden it'll just keep going, and it can't catch it because the wind blew it, and you don't get that in the dome.
Yeah. So, now, like I said, this is such a close game that somebody could come out of nowhere for the Saints and make a play. Derek Carr, he played for the Raiders for years, and he's going to be used to playing up there.
Oh yeah,
he'll be comfortable up there.
He'll be okay, but it's not him. I'm thinking more of the.
I don't even know if Kamara's going to play. He's questionable. So, they're kind of an older team. Chad taking the Saints. This could go the other way.
I would like the Saints to beat Kansas City in Kansas City, but that's not a. If you're betting, you're gonna stay away from that game.
It's a stay away. I'd take the Saints in the point. I would take the 5.5.
No.
I'll definitely take the 5.5. Not unless Carr gets hurt because his center's out. So, but then again, Bragner was out for Detroit, and Detroit came back. 18 for 18 for Jared Goff on Sunday night. Let's talk about this one big college game next week. By the way, huge games. Oregon's playing. Ohio State, big weekend next weekend. But this weekend, it's probably just this one. That's what I think. Missouri at Texas A&M. Texas A&M slight favorites, 2.5, like an NFL, But I like this new Texas A&M quarterback, this guy named Marcel Reed. He's better than the starter. Hopefully this other starter, this Connor Wingman, won't be back. He's the one that pretty much blew it for A&M in opening week against Notre Dame.
Right.
Missouri struggled against Vanderbilt and Boston College. This is down at A&M. I think A&M wins.
Why Missouri struggling against the smart schools? It should be the other way around.
Right. It's 31.
You should be able to beat Boston College and Vanderbilt.
I think Missouri's pretty tough.
Yeah, they tough. They should be able to beat these brainiacs over there.
Well, I thought they were brainiacs too, but I know they had a good communications program. But 31-20. I like A&M at home, man. I think they take care of business and win. Missouri's don't have a loss yet, though, and they played well last year. What do you think, man?
I think
they're both ranked too.
Yeah, I think A&M might take this one. They're a little bit deeper than Missouri, which is going to help them.
This will be a big win for Missouri. That's first really big win.
But I think Texas A&M is going to be.
Yeah.
Up
you like the home team as well.
Yeah.
All right.
It might be 24-21, man. I mean, it might be a close game.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Like I said, if it was the other quarterback, I don't know if I would take A&M. But I like this Marcel Reed dude, man.
Yeah, he looks like he's doing a good job.
He can run.
He's got good
and he can throw off the run.
Yeah.
That other guy can just run. He could throw off the run, in my opinion. Anything else you need to plug, man? Went here pretty quick tonight.
Yeah, man. No, it's playoff baseball. You know, a lot of people around here
Our best month of the year for sports, as I've told
yeah, it's a lot of people are focused, man. We got the Yankees fans, the Mets fans, everybody. I'm hearing buzz of people wanting to see a Subway Series. I'm not too keen on that. No, you know what it is about the Subway Series is that it's cold up here, man. And then, and at night, you know, and there ain't no afternoon games. They're all at night. So you know, you got that cold air and chill, and then sometimes you got to leave early because the kids are too cold. No, it's not fun. So,
it looks better on TV, I think.
Yeah, plus it does look better on TV.
And it's expensive. Yeah, Tennessee will play Arkansas. Now, they're off of bye week. I think Tennessee plays well this week and wins. What do you think?
Yeah, they're just going to keep
count against you.
No, they're going to keep chopping away. You know how I feel about Tennessee, but
I don't think they're going to be looking ahead. Do you?
No, but they have to
play well off bye weeks.
They have to focus on this game and just play this game out, and they'll be all right.
Yeah. Like their defensive line. A lot of people have been high on Tennessee this year, and a lot of the guys I've had on here nationally, Keith he's pretty impressed with Tennessee, and so I am too. John was impressed. It's not just us guys that's lived here, so
I mean, every year we say the same thing, right? Football.
Well, 22, everybody was impressed.
Now, this year's gonna be special, man. This kid is good. Like I said, when I saw him in the bowl game, and he was just just doing things like
and he don't have to carry it. The defense it's much better this year. So
it's fun. It's gonna be fun, you know, and it's supposed to be fun. Losing is terrible, so you know it's good to have a winning football team in Tennessee. At the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. So you know, it's always good to be able to celebrate and watch football and be happy. You know,
you're about to say it's great to be a Tennessee volunteer.
I was thinking in my head like,
Great. All right, man. Appreciate it, Chad. Well, y'all have a good night, and good luck with your Mets, man. And hopefully next week we're talking the fact that they're up against they had the league and against the.
I don't know, man. I hope so. Just gotta watch the game to see how they work out.
Yeah, thank you. You too, Chad. All right, everybody. We'll see you. I'll see you Monday, and I'll see you next week. Hopefully, big games, of course. Have a good one, everybody.